Hello, my loves. Welcome to Viva Vibrant. My name is Kellyanne, and we are on day 3 of talking about different resources for getting unstuck. We all get stuck. We all fall into our own little traps, or the universe's traps, or other people's traps. And we have to find our way out because otherwise we end up in a life that we didn't decide on for ourselves. We make a lot of decisions based on somebody else's idea of what the world should be like. And then we find, a couple years down the road that I didn't want this for myself. And how did I get here? And wow, it's pretty dark, pretty dank down here. It feels like I'm stuck in a rut, stuck in a freaking rut, stuck in a pit, down in the pit. We all live in the pit. If you're a Parks and Recreation fan, you'll get that one. I am wanting to really get into this next resource, which I think is vital for the world that we live in, and that is checking your metrics. Okay. What I mean by checking your metrics is we really define how successful our lives are, how fulfilling our lives are, how good our lives are by certain metrics. Some of them include like the American dream metrics. Do you have a car? Do you have a house? Do you have 2.5 children? Does that house have a white picket fence? Is your job a doctor or a lawyer or business executive? Another reference in case you have watched Weeds or you just know the song. Um, we have other metrics. We have our parents' metrics for success. We have our guardians and the people who brought us up and who took care of us as children. We have their metrics for success, which, as little tiny beings, as little tiny humans growing up, we're very shapeable, we're very moldable. And if their metrics made their way into our framework, which it tends to do, then we might be judging ourselves by their metrics for success or the American dream metric for success. And I want to really expand into one particular metric, which is capitalism, colonialism, white supremacy, patriarchy, all of these uh, concepts and ideologies that are tied and twisted up together that form this very unique packaging wherein only a certain kind of person under a certain very particular set of circumstances can succeed, is able to succeed. And the mindset is one of a sort of violent fixation on taking as much as you can and stepping on or over other people in order to get there. There's a there's a really ununique aspect to it. It's so it's so boring and normalized that we don't even really recognize it for what it is, which is just this sense that there are only certain paths to success. And I want to make sure that we talk about these certain sets of metrics because you might be gauging your own success and you might be gauging your own level of stuckness based on those things. You might be stuck because you are really comparing yourself to others, or you're comparing yourself to this sort of idealized version of what it means to not be stuck, to be totally free, and to live in the land of the free and home of the brave. So let's get into a couple of those metrics. One of those, let's just talk about the capitalism part first. One of those is money. You might feel stuck because you're not making enough money or because the thing that you love to do doesn't earn you enough money, or because you got into a job that you don't love for big money. Again, somebody else's version of what success looks like impacted you and really guided you toward a very particular set of career choices. That means that you're in a financial place where you might be well off, and you might be watching this going, I don't know why I feel so stuck. I don't know why I feel so stuck, or I feel like I'm not content and I'm not satisfied with my life. Like there's something missing, or like I keep going in circles. And yet I don't know why, because I mean, I have more money than I can spend. And isn't that what wealth is? Your metric for wealth, if it's being gauged by capitalism's standards and the metrics of capitalism, your your gauge for success and for happiness and for wealth might be monetary, might be making sure that every single thing you do earns money, or waking up every day wondering where the next stock is that's going to completely radicalize your portfolio. I don't know. it it's a particular metric that has us really focused on um, even taking our hobbies, things that we love and we enjoy doing and that we would do for free just for the joy of it and for the love of it, and turn it into a side hustle. So if you are a side hustler, if you are a doctor, lawyer, business executive, and you're like, I still feel unfulfilled, I still feel like I'm lost and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, the helly, then you might be measuring your life by capitalism's metrics. Let's talk about patriarchy. Patriarchy is the condition by which men create the world and then penalize and punish anybody who doesn't have a penis simply for existing, and subjugates those who don't have a penis. I would say that patriarchy and white supremacy, or white terrorism, as I like to call it, as I prefer to call it, because that's actually what it truly is. Patriarchy and white terrorism are essentially the same thing, just with kind of different but same classes of people or genders of people. So we have, you know, supremacy-based terrorism and the systemizing of that supremacy based on gender, based on the male gender being superior. And then we also have the systematizing of white people being superior that subjugates other people and creates this um, dynamic in which only white people can get ahead, only men can get ahead. If you are comparing your life to a white man in your life, a white man that you know, if you are comparing your life to um, a white person and you are not a white person, if you are comparing yourself to a man and you are not a man, if you are operating by the same metrics that allow for men and white people, and together white men to get ahead and to get the furthest in life, to get more of what they want and to make decisions that uh, they actually want to make and not that they feel that they have to make. uh, you know, you're operating by patriarchies and white terrorism's metrics. You're feeling the stuckness because you know you're kind of trapped in a world that was designed by men who are white. And if you don't look like that, or you don't have those features and qualities, then you might have experienced belittling, patronizing. You might have experienced actual subjugation. You might have gone to jail, or um, experienced some level of submission to the metric that says, if you're not a man, you don't really know what you're talking about. You don't really deserve a seat at the table of power, and you could never be taken seriously because of who you are. Uh, you might have, and I'm trying to speak from my own experience as a woman, because I know that I am white, and there are so many privileges that are just given to me, bestowed upon me, that are not offered as freely and neutrally to Black folks and brown folks as they are to me. So I'm trying to speak from my position as a woman and engaging with that woman versus man sort of dynamic. But if you are a Black person, if you're Indigenous, if you're trans, if you are uh, not, you don't look white, or even if you look white and your culture is different, and you've been receiving privileges because you are white passing, which means that you appear to be white enough that somebody is going to kind of give you the same privileges that a lot of white folks get, the majority of white folks get. If you are in any of those categories, I would love for you to just put in the comments, like, what are some of the metrics by which you have been comparing your life to those of white people and feeling stuck as a result? What ways has white terrorism and the whiteness of the police, the whiteness of many of those in the medical field, in the medical industry, what does the whiteness of all of these systems, public education, what does the whiteness of all of these systems do to affect the decisions that you have available to you, or that you believe you have available to you? I would love to hear in the comments your experiences, because I don't want to speak for you. I'm still working through my, where is she? There she is. My book by Layla F. Saad, Me and White Supremacy. And I don't know everything, but I do understand that the metrics by which white supremacy, you know, tells us that we are successful can be really not just debilitating or demoralizing, but it can be violent. It can feel like terrorism, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it plays out as terrorism. But in our own individual lives, like on like a very micro level, because that's what we're talking about right now, is you as an individual being affected by all of these big macro things. What you experience as an individual is a stuckness and a lost, the sense of being lost, or the sense of being not allowed, not permitted, not invited, not accepted into a world that white people seem to just walk through doorways effortlessly, and you approach the doorway and you go, there are a lot of white people in there. I don't think this is a me. Maybe this isn't a me thing. Maybe this isn't like an us thing. maybe it's just a them thing. And so you make your own individual decisions based on that, based on like going where the people who look like you are finding their way in the world, whether it's a successful way or it's uh, a really hard, difficult way. And I'm betting that if you're here, it's been hard and it's been difficult. I really need for you to understand as you are watching this that while these things can feel really burdensome and checking your metrics is helpful, but also can lead to some feelings of despair, like, oh, if I recognize that my metrics are capitalism and white terrorism and patriarchy, then of course, this sort of colonizer mindset has been really keeping me in a place where I just feel like I can't get what I need. I can't get my needs met, and I might have to lie, cheat, or steal just to get as far as other people have. Um, it may feel like a despair. You might feel feelings of despair when you consider that, like, the systems that we have are the systems that we have, and the way that we can change them is by changing ourselves and creating our own pockets of culture, creating our own communities in which we don't operate that way. We treat each other differently, so that the fascism that's growing in this country and in our lives in the world starts to be ignored and start to die off. But the despair that we can feel in the meantime, and the sort of desperation that we might feel when we realize we're kind of like rats trapped in cages, and we just feel that, like, I want to get out and I can't, and I don't have any other options because the cage is the cage. And it's hard to move in here, and I don't see other choices. Great, I'm aware of my cage now, Kellyanne. Now what? You might feel that despair, you might feel that desperation, and I want to start by saying, start as in for this sort of very emotional place that you might be in once you're like, oh, my entire life is shaped by these three things, these four things, colonialism as well. Um, I just want to hold you in this place and start by saying, same girl, same. I've been there, and genuinely, as I'm going through, on right now on my Patreon, I have a Getting Unstuck series that is, all of the posts are scheduled, so they're coming out now, and I'm following along with my own recordings and affirmation rampages on quantum leaping out of the pit. And I'm choosing an area of stuckness in my life. Disappointment and despair is one of them for me, and that's the one that I'm targeting right now. I'm going through and I'm trying to get unstuck too, because I also tend to fall into that pit over and over again. I'll say things like, "Ugh, capitalism, huh?" And on the inside, I'm going, "Oh, fucking capitalism." Sorry, I didn't expect to get that emotional, but that's what's on the inside. And I want to share with you in this emotional state, from this emotional place, that I'm with you, and many of us are here in this place. And the more that we find each other, the greater the cage becomes, and we realize, oh, I'm not just in this cage by myself, just little old me, just this one rat. There are hundreds of thousands of these rats, and the cage is actually pretty high and wide. And you know what? The more of us that get together, the more we can develop our plan. for getting out of here. And the more expansive we can start to feel in our sense of self, in our sense of our own personal freedoms and liberties that we reclaim in spite of those metrics. And we can also do something else, which is one of the tools and resources that I want to share in connection with, checking your metrics, which is to make sure that once you have checked your metrics and you're asking yourself, am I stuck because capitalism is ruling my life? Am I stuck because white supremacy and terrorism is ruling my life? Am I stuck because the patriarchy is bumming me the fuck out, and that sort of pervasive dark cloud is just really making me feel heavy? Once you ask those questions, and once you get to a place where you are able to recognize and name the areas of your life that are most affected by those metrics: capitalism, colonialism, white supremacy, terrorism, patriarchy, you can start to dismantle those systems in different ways. Okay, so here's the tool here. There are beliefs that are associated with all of these systems. And one of the things that you can do, I'm going to give you a few tools actually. One of the things that you can do is you can write out, just set a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes goes by very quickly, but you will be surprised by how much comes out of you when you just sit and you are focusing on just one thing, and you don't give up and you don't space out for those 10 minutes. You just stick with it. If you set a timer and you ask yourself, what are all of the things that this metric makes me believe about myself? What are all the things that this metric makes me believe about relationships, my relationships with other people? What are all the things that this metric makes me believe about the world? And when you take that time to ask yourself and to write out all of the beliefs, a belief that I have because of capitalism is that my time is only valuable if I'm getting paid for it. A belief that I have about white supremacy is that my body is not mine and not as pretty as white people. A belief that I have because of patriarchy is that my entire being is designed for the use of men and the use of the systems and communities around me. Barf. You can start to just really purge all of these things, and becoming aware of them and naming them gives you your power back. Because right now they have power over you. If they're secret and they're hidden and they're pulling your puppet strings, they have power over you. They are making decisions for your life, not you. So once you name them and you give yourself your power back and you reclaim this sense of understanding of what is shaping your world, then you can start to dismantle those things, and you can start to get unstuck from all of those beliefs and create new ones. You can set another timer for 10 minutes. And for every single one of those beliefs, you can write a mirror belief. Because of capitalism, I believe that my time isn't valuable unless I'm getting paid. I love arts and being creative, and I believe that being creative for the sake of my own joy, for the sake of experiencing my own joy, is valuable. Just creating those mirror beliefs and then anchoring into those new beliefs, into those beliefs that you want to evolve into and alchemize, game changer, can be completely game changing. Another tool, speaking of creativity and hobbies, another tool is recognizing which of those, just making sure I'm on, hello, which of those, a gremlin came out, which of those hobbies and creative endeavors and, things that you enjoy doing that you have deprioritized or even monetized because of these metrics. Because, I don't know, skiing is a white people thing, is a belief that some people have because of white terrorism. I'm never going to be able to be a CEO. I'm never going to be able to run my own company because men won't let me, because I would have to sleep my way to the top, because X, Y, and Z. I can't write for enjoyment because it just takes too much time, and I don't have time for anything that doesn't earn me money. Sorry, not sorry. I sleep, I eat, I earn money. You scroll Instagram, right? You scroll TikTok, you scroll YouTube, you scroll a bunch of things, right? You spend maybe 30 minutes minimum a day doing that. That could be writing time, right? Okay. So pay attention to and listen to yourself when you're saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then ask yourself, oh, am I stuck in not doing it because I'm comparing myself to the metric of XYZ? And then reclaim those too. Reclaim your hobbies, reclaim your pleasures and joys, reclaim the things that you like to do, that you've been wanting to do, that you felt like you couldn't do because somebody else had claimed it first. Well, there is abundance aplenty. There is no limit to all of the spaciousness that we have that you can own for yourself. You can take all of those things and make them yours again. All of your arts, all of your leisure, all of the entertainment, you can take them and make them yours again. And if it's something like going to a comedy show, I can't go and see Joe Coy live because, it's too much money. Go to a fucking, what is it called? Not a one night stand. Stand up that is open mic. There we go. I got there. Go to an open mic. Find open mics near you, and they might be shitty, but that's kind of the fun of it, is like getting shitty drinks and watching shitty stuff, and then sometimes you find a gem and you keep coming back because there's just one person who's refining their thing, and then that inspires you, that breaks you out of and unsticks you from your own creatively blocked mud, because you're watching somebody else get unstuck. You're watching somebody else take a passion that they have and pursue it. I mean, there's something so brilliant to getting rid of all these ideas that we have to do things by a certain way, or that there's only one path that we can take. And I hope that these two tools, I have a third tool, but I might share it in the next one. Okay. I have a third tool, but I think it deserves its own space. We have all of these different ways that we can get ourselves unstuck. And especially if you are checking your metrics, you are going to have a much easier time of doing so. So I've shared The resources that I have with you, I've shared specific actions that you can take. And I hope that you fucking do it because you deserve to live the life that you desire. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please like this video if you caught something out of it. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that their metrics are twisted. And subscribe if you want to see tomorrow's last video on getting unstuck. I love you so much. You're deserving of all the love you desire. And I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. Okay, now I'm done.